Hey everybody, welcome back to the Calibrate Tools channel. Learning a skilled trade is one of the best decisions you can make. Today, Max Lai is going to give us the scoop on what it takes to go from apprentice to journeyman in the sheet metal industry. Stick around, I'll see you right after this.
My name is Max Lai. I've been working here for about 3 years. I started as a non-union sheet metal worker doing kitchen work. So anything you guys see at Panda Express, that's what we did. We did the kitchen exhaust hoods. We actually made the walks, the stoves itself. We did, all the metal cladding on the building, cold tables, warmers, barbecue ovens. We did all that. But pretty much that company shut down and ran out of business. I was looking for work by myself. I went to a company that did a lot of iron work, so they were just production, so they took a drawing and we kind of fabricated what they needed. But I was getting paid like $12 an hour for doing that job. I was certified, had my LSC certs, but yeah, I wasn't gonna feed the family, so I literally was trying to look for jobs, didn't know what to get into. I'm a second generation American, right? My parents came from China. So I don't really have a big family here. I don't know anyone that works the union. I always thought, to become a union member, you have to know someone that's already in the union, right? So I literally just Googled this place up and found out, hey, all you gotta do is take a test to get in. So technically, you don't need any prior experiences to get in this program. All you gotta do is fill out an application. Once we receive 250 applicants, they'll send you a letter to come take a test. And all you gotta do is pass the test with a minimum of 30 out of 40 points. Okay, I'll go over the exam in a little bit, but yeah, I scored pretty high, so they called me in right away to dispatch me to work. They're like, hey, you want to take this job? GES, they do architectural work. You're gonna be out of Mall, Westfield, to do the job. The job was supposed to last only 6 months. I went in, hustled, right? Did my work. I was always hustling. I was young, moving around. When they're putting panels up, I was the one trying. I try to put as much panels as I can, right? So, but after that job was done, I was talking to one of the foremen. I was like, hey, I'm a welder. I have my welding certs. And then, so you know what? The job just came back. Had a lot of porosity in it. How about you come to the shop and help us fix it? Had to grind all the porosity out, re-weld it, and they're like, hey, we like your work ethics, we'll keep you in the shop. So I was with them for 5 years, my whole apprenticeship. I was with GES. But after that, after a while, the school hit me up. They're like, hey, you're a good student. We want you to become a CWI, Certified Welding Inspector. So it was a part-time night job. So they hired me on as that. They trained me to become a CWI and taught for a year, and then became a coordinator. So within that scope of a couple of years, I was already able to get into a high position, and that's something that you guys can do too, right? So, most of the students that do come in here, I always tell them, there's certifications that are required for certain jobs. You want to strive to get certifications, get certified in something. So then when times are slow, it's construction, right? There are times that construction is slow. When it comes to layoff time, they're gonna see, hey, should I lay off, Joe or John? Joe has a certification, John doesn't have the certification. He might be sitting at home, So when you guys are in class, you guys wanna make sure you guys are striving to get those certifications so you can be productive and also be able to do those jobs. Because if you don't have a certain certification, you might not be able to do a certain job. Yes?
Does the 105 work with people to get their certifications? I know some unions, you get certifications as your...
Yeah, when you guys are in school, it is a 5-year program. The first 3 years, you'll learn your core material, your safety, your OSHA 30. Your third year, you'll do blueprint reading and you have to do welding, okay? Your last 2 years, you can kind of go into your electives. So whether you want to become a detailer, a service technician, air balancer, you can go and choose those electives. And during those times, you can get your certifications in class. But any questions about kind of what we do? We're sheet metal workers. I know we're kind of out there. Not many people know what sheet metal workers do, but anyone can take a guess. I think I kind of went over it, but anyone can take a guess what sheet metal workers do?
More or less like ductwork.
Ductwork, yeah. Okay. Anyone else?
Roofing, HVAC.
Like that, HVAC, what he said, AC, heating, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, about 80% of our work is HVAC systems. So we actually design, fabricate. And the cool thing about our trade, we're kind of unique because we're the only trade that actually fabricates everything that we put up. So we take raw material, whether it's sheets of metal or off a coil line, and we actually do the layout. We actually fabricate every part that we put up. Let's say a pipe fitter, right? They'll have to buy pipe. Electrician will have to buy the light bulbs. So we fabricate everything that we put up. So it's pretty cool. So if you guys are kind of artistic or you like working with your hands, you like to be kind of free flowing, you know, it's a good trade to get into. Okay? You learn a lot about layout. You learn how to create custom pieces. You can pretty much create everything out of metal. So it's a pretty fun thing to do. But yeah, we have HVAC. We have either you're in the shop fabricating parts, right? Working with plasma cutters, working with who's in it? With shears, working with press brakes. You can be working with a lot of different machinery. You can be in the field, right? Installing parts, okay? Connecting all the ductwork to the package unit. A lot of times these package units are really big, right? For big high rises. They're crane lifted, sometimes they're even helicopter lifted. Okay. So yeah, if you peel back all the T-bar ceiling right here, you see all the registers and everything. That's providing all the airflow to the room. Okay, heating, cooling. There's other things like I said before. If you're someone that's into air balancing, right? Every room has to cool the same at the same rate, at the same speed, right? So things need to be ran efficiently, right? During the summertime, how much was your energy bill, guys? One of my energy bills was $700 a month. My wife works at home, so she has that thing on day and night. So imagine if your system's running inefficiently, right? Imagine a big high rise. If you need to be certified to be able to actually check the mechanical units to make sure they're running efficiently, and that will save the building owner a ton of money, right? So that's a really important thing that we got going on too. Question?
Yeah, so for the crane operators, do you guys have your own certified crane operators, or is it just?
No, it's
if you know
it's
how
a
to do it?
different union.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll be the operators union. Yeah. But yeah, we have members that will, you have to have your signaling cert to actually be able to help those operators, where to place all the units and stuff like that. So we have your rigging certs, your signaling certs. We also have service techs, so they do a little bit of electrical work. They're going to find out, if a fuse is blown, they're going to know how to service the unit, right? They're going to braze all the freon, so they're going to do a little bit of brazing. But they do a little bit of calculations. They're going to know how to actually maintain the units. Okay? Architecture sheet metal worker. I was an architectural sheet metal worker, but we do things from, you guys ever been to the Walt Disney Concert Hall, St. Peter's, the Automotive Museum. Also custom homes, right? If you guys look up at sheet metal, that's one of our contractors. They do a lot of custom homes. When I was at GES, we actually did John Legend's house. When he bought it from Rihanna, he wanted Core 10 panels all around his mansion, so we were able to work on that project. That was pretty cool. We did projects at Disneyland, right? The Incredicoaster, right? That big tunnel, that's all sheet metal. We did the King Arthur carousel, right? The roof panels there. That's what we did too. Basic things like Costco's, car dealerships, you'll see ACM panels, extruded aluminum panels, signage, that's all sheet metal work. We actually did this from the ground up, the Metro Bike Hub. And then if you guys ever been to Cal Poly, this new building that they did, this is a CMF, did all the roofing panels on this. It's a really cool job site to be on. It's like a huge spaceship. I don't know if you guys ever been there. Have you guys been to Cal Poly? You guys should check it out. Yeah, you drive by it and it's like wow. All the roof panels, everything. It looks like a crazy spaceship. It's pretty cool. We also got detailers. So if you guys are into working on the computer, right? We got AutoCAD. We do Revit. So obviously, before the job even starts, everything needs to be designed out, right? So they take the engineer's single line drawing, and the detailers will actually create a double line drawings for these. Okay, so what it is that the engineer's drawing will just say, hey, I need a regulator right here, and then from here, I need another one. It's a single line connecting the ductwork. The details will come in, they'll actually draw out the dimensions for it. So all these green little lines right here, you guys can't see it, but it's all the measurements for the ductwork. So they'll draw a double line, it'll show the width, the depth, it'll give them all the dimensions. Once they complete this drawing, everything is rendered in 3D or Revit. That's one of the newer programs. And other trades, pipe fitters, electricians, they all will have all their drawings combined into one. And then they'll see what clashes, what hits. So if I have a junction box hitting my ductwork, like, hey, can you move that 3 feet over? And then we'll collaborate and adjust all the drawings. And once everything is done and nothing's clashing, that's when they send all the drawings to the shop, and the shop will fabricate it.
Question there, buddy.
Cool. Yeah.
Do the drawings show what clashes in terms of like colors popping up, or this clashes against that? It's not like you got to find the clashes.
Yeah, it's not.
It finds it for you, right?
You'll have a list, and then everything will be highlighted.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so they'll find all the clashes, and then they do a lot of meetings, and they'll talk about what to do, what they need to change to fix those clashes. But yeah, once everything is done, all the ductwork and everything is fabricated in the shop, and everything should line up together, right? If it's drawn correctly, everything should just fit in. So they're like the first ones on the job site that kind of develop all the skeleton of everything. So it's pretty cool. So yeah, it's not just sheet metal work, right? I have guys that come in, they never even touch sheet metal. They mouse, keyboard, and the worst thing they can get is paper cut, right? So there's a variety of things you can do, which is cool. We also have tab guys, right? They're air balancers. So they take hood ventilators, they'll check the CFM, how much air is coming out of it. We also have fire smoke damper technicians, right? So if a fire does happen in this building, each one of these air systems is connected to each other, right? So if there's smoke coming in, it's gonna fill up the whole building, okay? So fire smoke dampers, what it is that there's a sensor or a fusible link. If it senses some type of fire or smoke, those dampers will automatically close. So you need to be certified in installing and also be able to do maintenance on those fire smoke dampers. A lot of times when there is a fire in the building, smoke inhalation is what kills people, not the fire itself. So it's a really important job. We have the fire life safety system is really important. Air balancing, so pressurizations of shafts, of emergency exits, right? So usually when the fire happens, you can't go on an elevator, you use the stairway, right? But if the pressure is really different, what happens is that it creates so much negative pressure that when you try to open the door, it won't open. So when you try to run out to the exit, there's so much pressure that an old lady or a little kid will try to open the door and they'll think that it's locked, even though it's not. You just need a lot of force to open it. So they deal with that also. So testing, balancing of the air systems. Obviously, if you're in a restroom situation, right, you want to keep all the smells in the room. So you want that negative pressure in that room. If you're in a clean room situation, you want positive pressure because you don't want the dirt and debris coming in that room. So you want that positive pressure. So yeah, they have a totally different set of tools. Okay, they're more involved with math. If you see in the back over there, there's these fan motor laws. There's this psychometric chart. So if you're really good at math, that's the way to go. I don't know anything about tab, to be honest with you. I only done architecture. But yeah, tab is a totally different beast. If you become tab certified, you actually get 15% overscale. So if you look at the wage class, once you're a journeyman, you're making about $50-something an hour. If you become a tab certified technician, you actually get 15% overscale on that. So it's pretty cool. Welders, right? You guys are all welders, right? Here, mostly, okay. So yeah, you guys are we're fabricating large pieces of ductwork. Like I said, we're working on high rises, stadiums. A lot of times we're working with different materials, right? Stainless, copper, brass. I did a brass handrail on Bunker Hill. So you're working with various materials. What do you guys weld in your class? Mostly just carbon steel? Carbon steel? Yeah, mild steel. Okay. Yeah, so mostly you're going to be welding on galvanized, stainless, aluminum. That's like the main things you'll be welding on. But yeah, you have some shops that will do custom fabrication. A lot of times There's supports, obviously, for the duct system that needs to be welded. If you have your LA City, that's something that you guys should try to get. You do get 5% overscale if you have your LA City certified certification. And we have classes for that too. So, any questions about our trade so far?
So when you said overskill, that's the term you're using right now?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So if you look at the wage package or the little pamphlet, if you open it up, you start off about 40% as an apprentice. At the end of, if you do your schooling, you do your work hours, you get a raise every 6 months. So by the end of 5 years, you're making about $50-something. What the benefit package, you're making about 80. So that's 100%, right? That's a journeyman's wage. So if you get overskilled, then you get 50% tacked onto that. So you get another $70.
Okay.
But yeah, the good thing about working with union contractors, right, with the union company is that you get a lot of benefits, right? You get no debt after completion. That's completely free, funded by the government, okay? There's, when I first came in, they told me to sign an ELA agreement that you owe 10 grand for each class session that you do, but that's just formality, okay? They're not gonna chase after you for any money if you decide, if you do it for 2 years and you're like, hey, you know what, I don't wanna become a sheet metal worker, I wanna, become an electrician, I wanna do something else, I wanna sell insurance, whatever the case is, they're not gonna go, hey, we're gonna, you gotta owe us money for the education. But if you, let's say, you complete the program and then you open a non-union sheet metal shop, then they might say, hey, we taught you in your field of work, they might say something. If you open a union sheet metal shop, they're not gonna, obviously they're gonna help you out and stuff. So everything is completely free. It's an earn as you learn program where you're actually, coming to class, you get dispatched to work, you're earning your wages from then on, okay?
So you said we're gonna be working and getting our education?
Yeah.
So is it gonna be like 3 in 1? So 3 weeks working, 1 week school?
Yeah, so you only come once every 2 weeks, so twice a month.
So twice a
Come to
month?
school, 8 hours a day. Yeah, you don't get paid for those 8 hours, but the rest of the days you're working with our contractors.
So it's just one day,
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
every 2 weeks.
So yeah, it's not much. 80 hours a semester, 80 to 88 hours a semester. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, most of the learning, most of the things that you learn will be out in the field, because you'll get dispatched out right away. You're going to be working right off the bat. You're going to be partnered up with a journeyman. The ratio is 1 journeyman to 2 apprentices. So they're going to start you off easy, right? They're going to expect you to not know anything of the trade. So they're going to have you maybe clean up, sweep, take cords, take tools for the journeyman, help them out, and then later on they're going to tell you, hey, this is how you do the panels, this is how you create this, and then you'll slowly gain all the knowledge. Yes.
And is that gonna be a section of your choosing, or are they just gonna throw you with a journeyman?
So yeah, so typically what happens is that once you pass the test, depending on how high you score on that test, is how they rank you on the dispatch list. So if you score high, they'll put you higher up. And what it is that they'll call you and say, hey, I got a company, AFCO, they're doing HVAC. They're at a job site, let's say the Clipper Stadium. It's gonna be a 1-year job. Do you wanna take it or not? So you can say, no, kind of choose, they'll give you, you can deny 2 jobs, the third one you have to take, okay? So they'll give you a list of jobs. Hey, there's GES, they're an architecture company working out in Westfield, doing this for 6 months or whatever, and then they'll ask you if you want to take it or not. So you can deny 2 jobs, the third one you have to take. Yes?
Is there any money down to start?
Down the what?
Do you have to put any money down to start?
Mostly when we tell the apprentices to, they got to provide their own hand tools. So under our contract, our collective bargaining agreement, our contractors have to provide battery tools or anything that's corded, anything that's powered, the contractor has to provide. But hand tools, PPE, welding hoods, gloves, typically that's something that you should have with you, right? Boots, okay, stuff like that. A lot of times bigger contractors like ACO is probably one of our biggest contractors. They will usually provide you with their PPE, with their logo and the job site name and hard hats and stuff like that. So it depends on the company you work at. But yeah, other than that, obviously, union, working with union, hey, am I in your way? This is Laura, she's our tab instructor, so. But yeah, we have good health benefits, yes.
Are there any like contracts or work that would be here at this facility?
No, this is just a training
Just the
facility.
training,
Yeah,
okay.
just for schooling. You know, we cover, if you look at this map right here, we cover a whole area of Southern California. So some of our contractors might be in Orange County, some of our contractors might be in LA or wherever. So you might be working somewhere, you know, depending on where their shop location's at. Yes.
So I know you said within like 3 years you take a welding class,
Mhm.
students take a welding class. So does that mean that every person here is a certified welder?
Not necessarily. They don't need to be certified to pass the class, but obviously, yeah, if you are able to get certified, then you'll be able to get certified.
One more question.
Yes.
And is there a job that you guys have here that just only consists of welding?
Yeah, like, some jobs, like I was a full-time welder pretty much at my company. Some contractors will have strictly welders. You know, they'll need welders. Like I said, that LAC certification, that's something you guys should all strive to get. Everyone that I know that has that certification is always working. They're consistently working, and I know that when I was a third-year apprentice, I was getting paid overscale already for having that certification because I was the only one that had it. They call 433 the iron workers. My boss is kind of unique. He was an iron worker when he first started, but he bought a sheet metal company. So we have two. We had iron workers and sheet metal at the same company. But he called down 433 down their hall. They couldn't get anyone LAC certified. They called our hall. No one was LAC certified. So then I was like, you're gonna pay me a little more then. So that's how you get your raises and stuff. Yeah.
So does LAC charge for the class? Is it you have to pay for it?
Yeah, LA City, they charge you for the testing, since it has to be done at their facility, but we do reimburse our members.
Okay.
Yeah, so as long as you keep your receipt, I believe it's $175 or something or so, and then your renewal fee is about something around there. But yeah, as long as you keep your receipt, you give it to us, we'll send you a check. Yeah, so it's all reimbursed. Yes.
How long does LA City cert last?
It'll last 3 years. You gotta renew it every 3 years. And all it is payment. Payment, they might tell you to send a new photo ID, and they might ask you, hey, can you fill out a little weld log, like where have you been welding, and that's it. And it's another fee, and then all you gotta do is keep the receipt, give it to us, and we'll shoot you a check. So, yes.
So when you say that we're partnered with a journeyman,
Uh-huh.
I say on the field working, so it's basically we have to get to the job site, right?
Yeah, you guys will have to get to the job site on your own. Yeah. Under our contract, there's a certain ratio that they have to keep, that the company has to keep. So the ratio is 1 to 2. So they got 1 journeyman to 2 apprentices. So if they hire one, if they need, if they're busy and they want to hire another journeyman, then they'll have to take 2 more apprentices. They'll have to hire. So. Yes.
What's the circumference of area that they hired from? Like,
Um,
across you have to go.
Yeah, sometimes you might, depending on the contractor and what jobs they have, if you live in LA, they might send you to Palm Springs, right? And then, depending on where the bird flies, so if they measure that point from our apprenticeship to the job site, if it's more than 50 miles, they'll pay you per diem. So they'll say, hey, we'll pay you an extra $50 a day to get there. Okay, but it's from where the bird flies. Okay, so it's not how much miles you drive. It's from point A to point B, and that's how they measure. They measure, okay, that's more than 50 miles, then you gotta pay per diem for it.
Point A is what though?
From our apprenticeship to where the job site. Yeah,
Not
Yeah.
from where you live.
not from where you live. Yeah. So that's one of the disadvantages of working, with construction. You have to. There's a lot of drive time, right? Depending on, if you work for a mom and pop shop and they do retrofitting, which is, they take an old unit out, they replace a new one. They might be there for just a week, and they might have to travel to another job site right after that one's done. You could be working at a shop condition, right? You might be there just, regular. I work from 5 to 1:30, so it was nice. I get to go home early, take care of the kids, right? Pick them up from school and everything. You might be at a shop condition. You might be out in the field working, so you might be at a stadium, right? Stadium usually takes a year or two, so you might be there for a year. You might be, so it just depends on what contractor you're working for, what position they put you in. Any other questions? Good questions. But yeah, we have great health benefit, right? Covers your medical, vision, dental, covers your whole family. So whether you have 1 kid or 6 kids, the whole family's covered. You got your local national pension, your 401A plan, savings, HRA card. There's a lot of stuff, but anyone have questions on any of the health benefits? Does everyone know what HRA cards are?
No, I was actually gonna ask you right now, what is the HRA?
So HRA card is a card that they put 50 cents for every hour you work. It's pretty much that card, you can only use it for your deductibles for medical. So if you have, let's say, you got a copay of $25, $5, that card, you'll be able to use that card. So it's cool, because then anytime a medical bill or any, medication, you don't have to worry about paying that out of pocket. You have a card for that. Yeah. Question?
So it's the union sending you out to the job, so it's you guys sending us out to the
Yeah.
positions.
Yeah, so a contractor will call in and say, hey, we need a few apprentices, and then we'll call anyone from the out of work list. So right now we only have like 1 or 2 apprentices out of work. But once they're complete with that job, let's say the job is only a week long or 6 months long, once they're complete, they call us and we'll dispatch them to another job. Yeah. So I know the carpenters, you guys, they have to solicit their work. So they actually have to, before they can even join, I think they have to actually contact one of their contractors and ask and see if they want to hire them first. So they have to look for the jobs themselves. Us, you call us in, we'll dispatch you out to them.
Yeah, I was just there. I was there a couple of months ago, and I couldn't get sponsored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And they actually had us pay $100 for nothing.
$100 for
Yeah,
what?
so they're like, yeah, you can get in now and pay $100 fee, and
Yeah.
then just get a sponsorship. But it was just, I feel like
That's
it was
weird.
just a waste of money.
So, how long has someone stayed out of work?
you have to be working to go to school, and most of the apprentices, you're gonna be working the whole time. Yeah, so you have to be. It just depends, I get guys that either got injured at home, they did something dumb, they're on the ladder, fell down, they're on disability, they'll be sitting at home, or COVID during that time, a lot of people were calling in sick, so then they are considered disability, so they can't work, so stuff like that. So, but yeah, most of the students will, as long as you, like I said, as long as you show up to class, show up on time, ready to work, ready to listen, ready to learn. Same with work, right? You're there on time, you're working with the journeyman, you're listening, you're doing your work. Yeah, I find it really hard for someone to get laid off. It's usually the people that come in, they talk back to the journeyman, think that they're, they're older, you got a young guy that's running the job, and they feel like, hey, they're not, or whatever. And every company has their different standards, right? So you might go to one company and they might be doing something like, hey, every hem is a ½ inch, this company does it 3/8. You get arguments, and then it's like, well, that's their standard, just do what they want you to do. You get guys that like to talk back, and it's like, well, that's how you get fired, so.
So basically, we're only gonna be here at this spot 2 times a month?
Yep. Yeah, like I said, most of your learning experience will be out in the jobs, hands-on.
Is there like a specific day that you come during the week, or they're just teaching the same thing?
Yeah, typically as a first-year apprentice, they come in on Mondays, and then I don't know how they figure it out, but once you get to your electives and stuff, it might be on a Wednesday. But all the contractors know you have to come to school.
Okay.
So they know, they're not gonna be like, hey, why
I was about to ask you.
why is Fernando not here today? It's like, well, they know your schedule, yeah. You're not gonna get punished for that. They know exactly when you guys come to school. Yeah. Same with dispatching, they know when you guys are at school.
So, do you mostly get feedbacks on the apprentice from the journeyman, or both the journeyman and the contractor?
Yeah, so every time they get laid off, or they do a report, Yeah, they'll send us a report and they'll see how well they did. If they did well, they'll give them A's, and yeah, it's a whole scoring system. So they're
Okay.
under probation in the beginning, so everything is reviewed, yeah.
I'm
So-
guessing the better you do, then kind of the higher up on the list you are for job choices type of thing?
Yeah, yeah. And it depends on when they call out. So if they call out today, this morning, they say, hey, I'm out of work, then they'll be placed on the bottom, and then
Okay.
it just goes from there. So, yeah. Yes.
What's the match on the 401A?
So 401A, they put $1. Yeah, and everything else, since it's a 401A, the difference between a 401K and a 401A is that 401A is actually your money, so they don't do any matching. So if you want to allocate more money, so I'm allocating like $10 an hour because my taxes are crazy high. So I allocate that so I can lower my tax bracket, right? So it just depends on how much you want to allocate.
Now, is the maximum 5,500 or?
The maximum is, I believe, $10 an hour is the maximum you can allocate.
So it's no overall, like, year-end maximum that you can't go over, it's just $10 an hour?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just based on your hourly work hours, yeah.
And you actually receive pension credit during 5 years?
Yeah, that's really important because I know a lot of trades, they don't get pension credit until they journey out. So if you guys complete the 5 years, you get five years of pension credit.
What is pension credit?
So that's your retirement. So let's say you need 55 years to retire, and if you did the schooling and you don't get that 5 years, you have to do another 5 years. So it's a big difference. I know a lot of trades, they don't, like I said, they don't start their pension credit until you journey out, so you lose out on 4 or 5 years.
And those night lessons? Night classes?
Mm-hmm.
That's just for anything in general, or is it?
Yeah, so if you if you journey out, you can always come back at night and take classes. So if there's new programs or new we got a laser welder right now. So once we create WPS for that, that's gonna be a new thing to go in and be like, hey, if you're a journeyman already and you're like you want to learn how to use a laser welder, you could always come in, sign up for night classes at night. Typically they're held from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. and it's a 3-hour night class, and you come in and you can learn.
And
if you
would
want
that
to get
be
a
out of
certification.
pocket already?
Yeah, that's all included. That's with all your benefits.
Okay.
Yeah. So once you're a member, you can take any night class. Yeah. So I know a lot of students come in, they want to take detailing classes, or they want to jump ahead. Let's say, right when they first start as an apprentice, they want to go, I want to become a detailer, start taking the night classes. So when they come to the 3rd year, when they take their electives, they don't need to take the basic AutoCAD. They could jump into a higher, CAD detailing or Revit. They could just kind of skip ahead.
So as an apprentice, I can actually take this class?
Yeah, even before, as long as you're paying your dues, once you become a member, you can start taking night classes right away. So let's say, school usually starts January and June. So let's say, they dispatch you out, it's December, but you're already paying your dues. You're a member already, so you can start taking classes then. Yeah. So right off the bat, you can start taking classes. And take advantage of it, because it's a lot of good material, right? All the welding equipment, obviously the gas and rods that you guys use, all that's open for you guys. All the coupons, all the material, it's all included.
What type of CAD software do you use? SolidWorks, or what's the?
They use right now it's a transition. So before they use AutoCAD. Now it's still an Autodesk program, but they're going into Revit. So it's more of a 3D software that they're using. It's still made by Autodesk, but it's called Revit. So that's one of the big ones. And we have an international ITI that does all the training material for us. So when you guys come in as apprentice, we don't even use books anymore. You guys all get an iPad. All your blueprint reading, all your drawings, everything, all your books are on the iPad now. Bluebeam, all that stuff. So Revit is one of the new, Autodesk programs that a lot of contractors are transitioning to, and it's kind of good because then a lot of apprentices are now getting detailing jobs because then, they're learning that new software and they need to hire people.
Is it better than SolidWorks, or is
That's
it
all I
competitor?
used was Autodesk. I had an iPad.
Okay.
And I ran Autodesk
There you
for
go.
all my employees.
That's good. Yeah,
So,
that's the
I mean,
future
not my
right there.
employees, but, people people that are
Yeah.
rushing over, so I'm familiar with Autodesk.
That's good.
I would have meetings and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, right now it's like, back then you go to a job site, you have a roll of blueprints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
Now it's all in the.
and then
that's awesome.
you don't know, they change stuff constantly. So sometimes you don't get approvals, and then you're like, with
Right.
the iPad, you're like, okay, there's a revision, right away. Before it's like, you installed it, hey, did you install it? Yeah, it's already done. Like, dude, they changed it. Like, oh, well, no one told me, and then you gotta take it down. So now it's like, hey,
Just take a
Then
picture,
everybody's
send it to the
got
architect,
that.
architect sends
Yeah.
it back to me, and I
Exactly.
give it to the guy.
So,
Yeah.
our ITI, they're the ones that do all the training material. They everything that we do is up to date. Like I said, anytime there's a new certification, like Title 24 is one of the newer certifications for California. That's for the energy efficiency bill for California. It's probably gonna spread out to different states. But yeah, once we know about a certification, we send our instructors out to get trained in that, and they'll be able to teach you guys and certify you guys on that certification. So yeah, we get grants, we get all the up-to-date technologies in our industry. So it's pretty cool. All right, so these are the counties we serve. So we serve a large area of California. So that's a good thing and a bad thing, right? That means we have a lot of work. The bad thing is you might be living here and then you might have to drive to Riverside, right? So it's a lot of drive time. You do need a valid driver's license and a valid form of transportation to apply, right? Because like I said, once you get dispatched to work, you gotta find a way to get yourself to work, okay? But yeah, it's a lot of driving, a lot of traffic, right? Sometimes you're working at a residential area in LA, they might say, hey, your start time, you can't start till 8 in the morning. And imagine trying to drive to LA at 8 in the morning, you're gonna have to wake up 2 or 3 hours earlier to get yourself on time, right? So that's the tough thing about it. I did architectural, we put down something called ice and water, that's a barrier, so it keeps everything waterproof. When in the morning there's mildew, and that thing is slippery. So we might not start work until, later in the day, like 10 in the morning, where everything's dry, then we can work on that. If not, it's too slippery to work on. So that's one of the disadvantages of this. And this is with any construction trade, right? Any union work, any construction trade, you're gonna be driving a lot. Question?
So let's say you go to work and you're not able to work because of the conditions,
Mhm.
you still get paid for going out there?
Yeah, I mean, if they say, what it is that once you touch metal, that's when you start. Yeah. So there are certain rules in our CBA, right? Like when night shift starts at 9 p.m. If you work a night shift, you work 7 hours, you get paid for 8. If you work, obviously, overtime, time and a half. If you work on a holiday or Sunday, that's double time. Okay, so there's rules under that contract that the contractor has to follow. Yeah. And that's the good thing about working for a union, right? Like a lot of guys, nowadays you hear about, unions suck or whatever, and people get a stigma like, oh, why am I paying these dues? Why am I paying the monthly fees, right? But guess what? You could, we don't discriminate on anyone, race, color, anything, gender. We don't discriminate on anyone, right? As long as you're able to pass the test and do the work, you're good. Okay. We have our business agents. They're dressed in a nice suit and tie. They're the ones that do our bargaining agreement. They're the one that keeps our wages up. Okay. You guys all worked the standard job before, right?
Yeah.
Right. What happens at the end of the year when you ask for a raise? What do they usually give you? Like a couple cents, right? 50 cents. We'll give you 35 cents. Or sometimes they'll even be like, oh, we'll give you 38 cents, like to the point, right? Like, come on. So, we have our business agents, like I said, they're bargaining our contract, usually it keeps up with inflation. So if you look at our pamphlet, we recently got a raise, so that's why the numbers are different, but as you start off, you're starting off about 40% of what journeyman makes, okay? So $20.75 as a total package with all your benefits, you're making about $34.25. Every 6 months, like I said before, you complete your work hours, you complete your schooling, you're passing your classes, you're doing your homework, you get a raise every 6 months. Okay, by the end of the 5 years, you're gonna be making about $51.88, so about $100,000 a year, a little over that. That's a total package about $83 or $82.32. So it's good wages. And like I said, certain things like if you're a tap technician, you'll get that 50%. If you're a foreman or detailer, you get 15% increase. General foreman, about 20% increase. And the good thing about these wage classes is that, you know, let's say you're a 4th-year apprentice, and let's say you're making about $41.50, right? You get laid off for whatever reason, you call us, we'll dispatch you to another job, you start back up at $41.50, right? You don't start over, right? Let's say you're working in and out, you're getting paid $20 an hour, you get fired, you go to McDonald's, they're not gonna start you at $20, right? You're a manager position or whatever, they're gonna start you back down low. So with this, at least you know, this is the least you can make once you journey out, right? So you can only go above that. Like I said, if you have a certain certifications, you could get that wage increase. And like I said before, as an apprentice, I have my LLC certification. My contractor was already able to give me, 50% overscale. I get a lot of students in our class right now, during their 4th and 5th year, they're running jobs already. They have their own truck, they got their own gas card, they got their own tools, they got their own crew. So it is a career, right? It's your career. You wanna, depending on how much effort you wanna put on your career, you know, it's your name out there, strive to get that. I get guys that come in to run through the program and, you know, they don't really go much where, right? But if you get people that are, you know, like I said, it's your career. You know, you wanna improve yourself on what you do, okay? So it's not just, oh, I'm just gonna sit through class and kind of go with the flow. You wanna strive for that stuff, okay? But yeah, if you're a general foreman, 20% overscale. Right, things to consider, obviously this is a construction trade, so I'm pretty sure you guys all know this, right? You gotta deal with heights, right? Everything that we do, it's above the T-bar ceiling. If you're an architecture guy, you're doing roofing panels, you might be on the roof tied off, right? Putting panels up. It might be hot, you might be in the cold, you might be in the rain, okay? You need some strength, right? You might be in boom lifts, scissor lifts, confined spaces. You need a little bit of strength. I mean, sheet metal work is it's not too heavy. You gotta be able to lift a minimum of 20 pounds, okay? It's not iron work, it's not anything heavy duty, but you do need to be able to lift things, okay? You gotta have a flexible schedule. Like I said, if you're working for a contractor that's doing retrofitting, you might be at one job this week, you might be at another job that week, you might be doing night shifts, right? There's certain jobs where companies can't close down because they gotta keep it running, so then a lot of times they'll close down at night. You gotta be finished before they open, so they can open again. So things like that. Obviously, like I said, drive time right now, gas prices are crazy high right now, right? So that's something to be aware of. Okay, you gotta drive yourself to work. When you come to school, you do not get paid for that 8 hours you're here, okay, because you're not working, okay? But the other days, when you're working with the contractors, you're getting paid, okay? Application process, I'll go over that real quick. The first thing you have to do is submit an application, whether you do it today in person or you can do it online. So if you go to our website, you can fill out that form online. Once we receive 250 applicants, that's when we send out letters in the mail for you guys to come take the test, okay? The test, this is our website. But pretty much it's a 4-part test. The first part is 8th grade level math. It's either a pass or fail, okay? So there's no score on that. As long as you get a 70%, it's a passing score. You got your mental ability, comprehension, paper board exams. They're all worth 15 points each. It's a total of 45 points. You do need a minimum of 30 points to actually pass and go on to the oral interview portion of the exam, okay? There are study guides on our website. There's actually 2 study guides, 2 different ones, and then also a YouTube video on our website. So if you guys, I don't know if did you guys visit the website yet?
I did.
A couple guys did, okay. So let me see. Yeah, so this is our website. If you go to application, there's an application process right here. Like I said, these 2 buttons right here, there's 2 study guides. So there's one right here. And if you guys want copies of it, I have copies. So I'll ask you guys later for that, but there's study guides right here, okay? If you scroll down towards the middle, there's actually a YouTube video that an instructor is actually going through that study guide. So if you have any questions, you can look through that. And typically, when we do have an exam, usually the exam dates are on Friday. The Thursday night before the exam, they'll usually hold a class. So if you guys have any questions on the math, or if you have any questions on the study guide, you can bring that up to the instructor during that time, okay? Any questions for me so far about the testing?
What is the paper or text?
I'll show you a few examples here.
Is there a time limit on the test?
Yeah. So this is an example of a grade level math. The hardest part about this is probably the pre-algebra, right? A lot of students struggle with fractions, so you want to kind of refresh yourself on those. But fairly basic. Does everyone has a high school diploma here or no?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay, so another thing is too, you want to submit your high school diploma. So all they need is a copy of it. That will give you an extra 5 points on the test. Anyone veterans? If you're a veteran, you have your GT 214, you can also submit that for 5 extra points. I believe we can work something out because you guys have a pretty good program. You guys have a, 4-week program? 4 or 5 week program? 4, okay. Yeah, typically we give out points for MC3 programs, up to 5 points, depending on how long the program is. But yeah, if you guys have your high school diploma, it's a one-time thing, so you can't get an extra point for being a veteran and extra points for being high school diploma. So whether you have a GED, high school diploma, submit that. They'll put that in your file and they'll give you extra points on the test. Okay. But yeah, this is pretty basic stuff, right? No one has issues with that. Second part, comprehension test will be something like this, dealing with shapes. You want to make sure you know how to flip things around in your head. So can anyone answer this question for me?
Yeah. It's that triangle with the number 1.
Anyone else?
I think it's number 3.
3.
Yeah,
Right.
3.
And so you're looking for the same shape, right? Triangle pointing to the right, and this is shaded in half, so this will be shaded in half too. So yeah, that's 3. Okay. Spatial aptitude. This one's a little harder because we're on a projector. Okay. So can anyone tell me what 2 figures will make this figure right here?
D and E.
B and E.
D and E. Okay, anyone else?
Yeah. B and E.
B.
No, B and E.
Yeah, B and E.
Yeah, like I said, this is tricky because it's on a projector, but what I usually tell students is that when you're taking a test, you have a pencil, so you use that as a ruler. So you can kind of measure these sizes, okay? So obviously it's hard to tell from here, but you could actually measure that and then get that figured out. But yeah, it's a lot of shapes, a lot of, another sample question will be, they'll have a photo of 2 objects. They'll have a chair with 4 legs and a chair with 3 legs, and they'll say, hey, what's missing? And you'll circle the missing leg on the other side. So it's not hard, but like I said, it is time to the point where it's hard to finish the test within the time limits they give you. So I remember when I took the test, I scored a 98 out of 100, but I remember I skipped 2 pages on each section. So I couldn't finish the last 2 pages. I had to guess on the last.
2 pages
Yeah.
on each section?
Yeah.
You still got a 90?
I still got a 90. I don't know how. I must have guessed right. But yeah, like I said, it's time to the point where I made sure I did the questions that I knew for sure. I did it quickly and I did it 100% accurately. So that's the whole thing about this test, is that you got to do it really fast, really accurately. Okay. So can anyone tell me about this one? Mechanical aptitude is probably one of the hardest sections that students have trouble with, just because you can't really study for it, right? It's a lot of physics, a lot has to do with things that you kind of experience in life. I tell people to study, download applications on your phone, look up some books about mechanical aptitude tests, and read some study questions. Deals with gears, pulley systems, stuff like that. Okay. Anyone tell me the answer to this one? Yep. Yep. So every wheel on the inside is turning the same direction except the one on the
It's kind of like a belt tension.
Another one they'll show a picture of a piece of toast, right, with a toaster on it, and then one's shaded in and one's not, and they'll ask you which one's lighter. Anyone tell me?
Yeah.
That's all it is, 2 photos. Picture of toast that's shaded in one that's not shaded in a low toaster oven. So the one that's shaded in is the one that's burnt, so it has no moisture, so that one's lighter, right? So the heavier one will be the one that's not, yeah. Yeah, a lot of,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah, I
Wait,
told you,
what?
no, I told you it's the.
And then a lot of times people go,
So you guys
well, the
have
one that's
three
shaded has
questions.
jelly on it, so that one's heavier. But because it has a toaster in it, you gotta assume that it's been toasted,
Yeah.
it's burnt, and it's
Heavy.
lighter because there's no moisture in it.
So there's
stuff
trick-
like that.
trick
little
questions in there.
trick questions.
Yeah, that's not fair.
Like I said, you gotta pass with a minimum of 30 points out of 45. Once you pass that exam, you'll go into your oral interview process, okay? And that's worth 50 points. And it's just like any other interview. You wanna bring a resume, you wanna bring some of the experience that you have. You don't necessarily need to have any HVAC experience to join the program, okay? But you guys all been through this program, you guys have welding certs, you wanna bring that up to them, and they'll score you. There'll be a panel with judges of sheet metal workers, right, about 4 or 5, and they'll ask you questions like, hey, why do you wanna become a sheet metal worker? They're gonna tell you how dangerous it is, you know, the stuff I was kinda telling you, so you wanna be prepared for that. And you wanna dress like you're gonna be working, right, hard hat construction, you know, dress nice, and, you know, have a resume of some sort. You know, bring up that you guys are reading, that you got some certifications. That will always help you guys out, okay? After you're done, you gotta do a drug test, okay? So, obviously, marijuana, that will stay in your system for 2 or 3 months. So if you know, once you apply, make sure you're off of any kind of drugs. They'll test you right away. They'll say, hey, go to this address, and you'll get drug tested right away. Well, once everything's done, said and done, like I said, depending on how high your score is, they'll place you on that dispatch list, okay? Total of 95 points you can get. You wanna shoot for a high 80s, okay, to be competitive, okay? It's 95 points. If you get those extra 5 points, that makes that 100, okay? So you wanna make sure that you're scoring to be competitive. You score around 80, you know, higher than 85, you'll beat dispatch pretty quickly. If you score under that, you could always come back to retake the test. Your first exam is free. Your second exam, if you gotta retake it, it's $45, okay? You can retake it as many times as you want, okay? They'll always keep the higher score, okay? So, yeah, if you decide, hey, I wanna try it out, you know, submit your application, try it out, and if you don't do well, you can always retake it. If not, if you do well, then yeah, you'll be in the program, okay? Like I said before, high school diploma, GED, college degree, veterans, you'll get an extra 5 points, okay? Any questions on the application process?
Yeah, I have a question on
Yeah.
your oral test. Is that where you take your diploma as well?
Yeah,
Okay.
they should have that in file. You wanna make sure you submit your diploma, before your exam date.
Okay, and
Yeah.
make sure you submit it either on the website or?
You can fax it in or do it in person.
Okay.
So we do have a fax number here. And just call them up and make sure that, hey, did you guys receive it? And then they'll say, yeah, we did, and then we'll put it in your file. And you're good to go.
Transfers or?
No transfers. Okay. But yeah, once you're in 5-year training program, you come to school once every 2 weeks. And then when the requirements are met, you know, you're passing your classes, you're doing your work hours, you're getting a raise every 6 months, okay? But that's pretty much it. Any other questions?
Are there different places, like contractors, maybe one that focuses more on like the because you said you guys, everything that you guys install and work on, you guys make and manufacture. Are there some contractors that mostly do like manufacturing side and others that mostly do like the installation and things like that?
Yeah. So yeah, our bigger contractors will actually do both, right? They'll do the installation, they'll do pretty much everything that was on that list.
Right.
Smaller companies, we have some companies that dedicate to architectural. We have some companies that dedicate to mechanicals, so surfacing, air balancing. So yeah, there are different contractors that will do certain things only. You got, you know, detailing contractors that only do detailing. So
it's possible that somebody might become an apprentice and mostly work in the same place.
yeah.
It's possible, it's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, most of it is, you know, a lot of the work is in the shop and then out in the field installing. Yeah. a lot of times, you know, when you're a fifth year apprentice, you can solicit your work. So let's say you really want to become a detailer and you've taken all our night classes, you can go solicit and go, you know, we have a list of 200 something union contractors. You can go and say, hey, a lot of times they see that you've taken all the night classes. They're like, okay, we're gonna start you off and we'll train you. They know you're not gonna have the field experience to draw a drawing fully, but at least they'll be like, hey, we'll have you do the inputting for now, and then they'll train you. And then I think it's every 6 months you're working for them, then they increase your wages. Because like I said, if you're a detailer, you get 15%, but they're not gonna give it to you off the bat. They wanna train you. Every 6 months, they raise that 5%, 5%, 5% to you at 15. Yeah. So I got Yvette. She's been, when she was a first year apprentice, she started taking the night classes, detailing program. Now she's detailing for ACO. That's one of the biggest contractors we have, so it's good for her. Yeah, and like I said, the transition right now from Autodesk to Revit, it's good because then a lot of the guys that do AutoCAD, you know, the habits they have is different from Revit. So then they want to hire someone that's fresh that they could train from the get-go and teach them their ways of doing things. So then a lot of guys that do complete that detailing program are getting jobs as detailers and all that. So it's good. Same with being a tap technician and all that. You could, once you journey out, you can solicit if you want, but you could always call the hall, they'll dispatch you out too. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes?
If they're dispatching you like way up north, you know, like way up there, do they pay for?
Yeah, they'll pay for per diem. And there'll be rare occasions where, like, you know, the Apple campus, right? So they'll pay for lodging, the food, for you to work over there, and per diem.
Like,
Yeah.
you're up north, man. Like,
Yeah, that's
can't
right.
drive that distance.
Yeah. No, yeah, they'll pay for lodging, food, and per diem for that. Any other questions?
What are the hours for the night classes? Like, what time do they start?
Typically 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Sometimes they might start as early as 4:30, the earliest.
Is that every day or just once? every 2 weeks?
Monday to Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, during the school semester too.
If you are an apprentice and you're working something, would some of those employers be understanding if you're, you know, hey, I'd like to get to this night class at a, how do you guys work that out?
I mean, yeah, if you're working night, it might be tough, because yeah, if you're working a night shift and you can't make it to night classes.
Oh, you know, I think that you're working a day shift, but your class
Oh.
starts at 5 p.m., but you're working out, you know.
Oh, far, yeah. Typically, what they usually do is that when we have night classes, they'll kind of say, hey, can everyone make it at this time? If they can't, then they'll push it back a little bit later. But the latest is at 5:30. Yeah, if you can't make it, it's kind of tough, you know. Like, we typically tell students, you know, if you can't make it to the night classes, take that as your elective during the day. Yeah. Usually, these night classes are usually for journeymen, but apprentices that do want to get ahead, they can come in at night too. Yeah, but you can most likely learn everything during the day. Any other questions? All right, now let's put on our safety glasses. We'll take a tour around the facility. Okay? Layout in school, in class, and they'll transfer that layout to metal, and then they'll fabricate the parts. So if you look at what they're doing right now, they got a radius elbow, they got pumpkins right there, they're doing fun project Halloween pumpkins right there. So they got that little shear in the back. They got a plasma cutter in the back over there too. So they check out a full board, you guys come in, you guys fabricate the parts. Richard, he's one of our architectural instructors. He used to be a student here too. He actually made the flag, that American flag up there. Yeah, got a couple of top shears, got handbrakes.
like the brake here.
Yeah, big guy operating the big machine. I can show you guys.
Yeah,
I'll turn
please
it on
do,
real quick.
please do, please do.
Yeah, watch your back. A lot of sharp metal over there. So this is the press brake. This is probably one of the most integral machines in the sheet metal shop. Of course, we need a way to bend all these things. We can use these hand brakes here, like you see over there. All these green machines, those are hand brakes that use to bend smaller items. But when you have bigger, heavier stuff, you need something like this. This thing operates at about 130 tons, right? It's a 7 series machine, 130 tons, 12 feet long. Right now I have some sections on. I put these sections on here so I can break something like this. This would be like a pad cover that goes over a curve on a roof. Right? You would sit the unit on top of it. So the long sides, we actually laid this out by hand. I have my knife to do that. They laid out this, a flat pattern, right? It has all the notches you need to make it into this in the end. Right? So show them use the details, make your appropriate notches, and then make your brakes in their appropriate sequence. There's ways that if you do this incorrectly, you'll come to a spot where you can't go anywhere. So always try to get into the correct layout, the correct notches, and then understand the correct sequence of events, how they're going to do this thing. Now this needs to be calibrated. Let me take it up real quick. It has an automatic back gauge, right? So the back gauge is like the backstop. I can put in a dimension for that, and then it works independently. It's a CNC machine, so by the numbers I put in, it means computer numerically controlled, right? Just like a machinist would use, right? The CNC machines, but it needs to be calibrated first. The first thing I would do is I'll press back gauge calibration. It starts doing it independently. It's going to take it all the way back to 0, right? And then so it knows that it's starting from the original point that it always was. You'll notice it's gathering itself back there. And then you'll hear a little sound of it coming toward me. It's ready to go. So it's happening right now. You kind of see the numbers changing on there. As soon as it goes to 24, it's almost ready. 24. There you go. Hear that little sound? I mean, that's calibrated. So I can exit there. Now I'm going to calibrate this thing. It needs to know that it's all the numbers are working together. So do this. Take it to absolute 0. That's calibrated. Now, calibrate this laser here. What this controls is these 2 lasers on the end. What those do is they protect me. They prevent me from having my finger in there and this thing coming down and chopping it off. I know that sounds scary. I've seen it a bunch of times. You never get used to it, seeing somebody's finger fly off, but you gotta know that can happen to you here. So, in order to do that, I'm gonna engage the back gauge, bring it down. That turned off because it wants to know that it's not going past the original stopping point. So now that it knows that that's calibrated, turn it back on. Get a piece of material here I'm going to use. Now it's going to calibrate this laser to the thickness of the material so it knows what we're dealing with. That's going to stop automatically. It's set. Now we're ready to go. Now, say I want to do a 1/2 inch flange. I can actually move this here, change the flange dimension to maybe 1/2 inch. It'll come up by itself. Then I can come over here to a preset break point. I'm at about 90 right there. Now it's on jog, so it'll stop right there. Put on auto return. Hit it one more time. It's gonna go up like this. Now since I have it on auto, now every time I do this, it'll return on itself. And that's how you break sheet metal. Alright? Okay. Yeah. This is the machine that actually made me fall in love with the trade. You know, I was fresh and green when I got in. I saw this machine working, and I wanted to be in control of all that power, right? And make all these bends that I see all these journeys. So this is probably my jump off point to what I'm doing right now. So I owe a lot to this machine, but you gotta be scared of it. So I respect it. All right, thanks guys. No problem.
Dylan, we need a notcher. We need a
Gotcha.
thing that does the notches.
Yeah, like
Oh,
like
man.
like an electric corner notcher. Those are time savers like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah,
I use those for everything.
what about something that bends 45-degree angles and all that? You got,
Well, that should actually be operator discretion. Yeah, you could do that here.
Yeah.
You just got to know the numbers.
Yeah, I'm
So
talking about-
when I set these things up, I'll start making charts per the material on the gauge, and I'll have a book with all my start off points. And then, like I teach my night class, you can mathematically figure out the amount that you need to move for a degree. So usually it's about 3/1000ths, in between 2.5 and 3/1000ths. So you can get your break. Say you're at like a 57, and you need to get to a 45. So you can take those 12 degrees, multiply that by 3/1000ths, and that's what you're going to add on here. And usually you're going to hit it within 2 or 3 degrees. Pretty accurate. I love this thing. I call this my girlfriend.
just don't piss her off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
That's what she's going to
Fingers gone.
Or something else gone.
Yeah, exactly. Right on. No problem, guys.
All right, guys, so the opportunity is out there for you to make good money and take care of your family and community. I hope you take advantage of it. See you next time.